So just a little bit of background. So the city did try this, the first attempt, November 2018, and that included road projects and some money for roads. And then in November 2019, we did it again just with law enforcement. That one also did not pass. I think it was about 52%, and both of those needed 60%. And also, if the council moves forward with putting on the ballot, again, it would be 60% instead of the 66 2/3 based on our low levy rate. On August 3rd, there was a motion. Let me step back. There was a citizen task force that was put in place by this council to look at the statistics, look at what was going on with law enforcement. They met 4 or 5 times. They started in April. And then that group made up of, there were 15 folks. I think we lost a couple. Were made up of citizens, and pretty much anybody that wanted to be on that was put on the citizen task force. And so they met. We had a representative from the sheriff's office. There were 2 council members on there, 2 staff members. In voting on the motion, the staff members and council were not voting folks on this motion. So motion was made by the task force on August 3rd. Recommended to council to put on a ballot in November to add the cost of 6 more deputies, basically to our base budget. And so what that would do is take the base budget and increase it permanently by the amount of $597,843. The city is currently paying for 4 deputies in a contract with the county. And so we would, with the 6 additional, we would have a total of 10 deputies, and 1 would be a school resource officer. Now, under current conditions, we were looking at evaluation, and we did receive the new total taxable value, and so that redid our levy rate for this year. And so we plugged that in, and actually the numbers are a little bit lower, and so the increase on a 100,000 valuation home is $1,782. Again, under current conditions, and that's an estimate. So just giving some basic background information, and then tonight the idea was to take public comments about moving forward, to continue to move forward if there's any questions. The ballot language we were going to finalize, and there was some language that in state law that was passed last year that gave us a little bit of pause to kind of look at our language. And so what we're suggesting is not, at least from the attorneys and from our end, not to finalize the ballot language tonight, but to set another special meeting for next Tuesday, just to make sure that it's as clear as possible and correct. And but still tonight is to continue forward and take public comment. So that is just an introduction to that, and I'll turn it over to.
Excellent. I have a question, Mayor, for Brett.
Yes, sir. Council President Roeder.
My understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, that for our fiscal year 2020-2023, that we have already approved $300,000 in addition to what we had budgeted last year, which was around $400,000. So is that part of what?
Good clarification.
We in other words, we've said, okay, there's a need. We're paying them $456,000, I think, last year, because we're around $400,000. It was overtime of $456,000. But then there was our budget that we approved for this coming year, starting September 1, has an additional $300,000 to the sheriff's department, which will make about $756,000 that absolutely will go to the sheriff's department next year. Is that true?
That's correct. And so I think there was a clarification also that out of the $597,000, so if this were to pass, the county is not asking for the 300,000 plus the 597, it would be a 597, 843 increase to what we were doing prior to the 300,000.
For a total of 1 million?
So,
The total this year is 702,000.
So, and I think the reason we're giving you is when you look at our revenues and expenditures as, as a household or others, that we do have one-time money. We've had an increase in some of the other things. So we could sustain paying 300,000 for this year, or if we took it from other projects, we could sustain that. But when you look at the revenues and expenditures, we want to make sure that when we're putting deputies on, that's something that can continue on with the budget. And so, yes, we can fill the 300,000 with our carryover, our one-time money, but to continue to do that, at some point, we'd utilize that money on that instead of projects. And so we recommended that we would need to increase the base budget to actually pay for this in a permanent status.
What's the permanent, if this, as a language we have it, now I understand we need to modify it for whatever reason, I don't know why yet, but if we're already paying 400,000 and we're going to increase it almost 6, so will this be a permanent increase of a total amount of about $1 million that we'll be paying the sheriff department then?
It'd be the 597,843 plus the 400. I think it's around 423 or 402.
So
the 402 plus 597.
About $1 million.
That would be a permit, yes. To continue on for total 10
expense, or that the city will be paying in a contract to the sheriff.
Correct.
Councilmember DePriest.
I guess I'm just maybe a little confused. I think I might have just figured it out here, but math, as I'm looking at it, is last year, I guess, 402,354 is what I'm seeing. And then this addition of the one-time 300,000 takes it up to 702,000. And my guess is that 702,000 is going to be increased by this up to what we're talking here. You got me lost between the 702 and the now 800 or 900.
So go back to the 402. So you would take the 402 plus the 597, 843.
So it's
not an additional 300,000 on top of that.
And where did that 300,000 addition that we're giving the sheriff's department, where did that come? Where did that funding come from for us to be?
We call it the one-time money, meaning from growth and other things we've been saving money that for projects like road projects and things like that. And so we're taking it out of the one-time money.
So that's equivalent to about 3 officers, roughly 100,000. Isn't that a number we've been?
And that's what Sheriff Norris stated in the last meeting, is that they were hiring 3 new officers this year.
So that'd take us to 7 for next year, roughly.
Yeah, but I don't think they come on until April. You're gonna move. Sorry.
Hi.
I'm addressing the sheriff.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're honored to have Sheriff Bob Norris here tonight. Mr. Norris, could you clarify that for us? Or pardon me, Sheriff Norris, could you clarify that for us?
We are going, is it on?
Yes.
So we are going to honor that contract effective October. Now, we're going to have some onboarding time on some of them, but we want to spend that money in the city of Hayden because there's a critical need for that service in the city.
Thank you, sir. Any further questions?